In this video, we're going to take a look at how you can access Sharpen AI from within Adobe Lightroom Classic. And we're going to do it two ways. The first way is by working on a single photo, sending it to Sharpen AI. And then the second way will be by selecting multiple photos and kind of doing a batch process of sorts from Lightroom to Sharpen AI. And so we'll start with working on a single photo. I'm going to click on this photo here, and you can see if I zoom in, it's got a lot of noise, but more importantly, it looks like focus was just missed on this hummingbird. And so this is an excellent use case for Sharpen AI. And to access it, I'm just going to right click on the photo, then go to Edit In and select Topaz Sharpen AI. In the dialog box here, you'll have some options of the type of file that you'll send over to Sharpen AI. You can select the file format between TIFF, Photoshop PSD, and JPEG, the color space, so you can use ProPhoto RGB, Adobe RGB, Display P3, and sRGB, followed by the bit depth and the resolution. And if you're using TIFF, you can specify whether you want to use compression. So you can see if I go to JPEG, for example, that option is gone. I'm going to work with TIFF here, and I'll keep the compression as none. And then I'm going to go ahead and click Edit to send it to Sharpen AI. In Sharpen AI, the first thing I like to do is go to the View dropdown, select Comparison View, and then zoom to about 200% and put the focus box on the bird's head over here, which will give me a very convenient 4-up view. The top left quadrant will always show the original. Then the remaining 3 quadrants will show you the 3 different modes, which is motion blur, out of focus, and too soft. Now, based on this photo, I know that the out of focus mode will probably be best, so I'm going to select that, and I'll select the very noisy mode. And now I can see just by comparing the original to the out of focus mode, the improvements are immediately apparent. And so if I want to go with that, all I have to do is double click on that quadrant and it'll load it up in its own view. And I can move the screen around to see different parts of the image and get an idea of how this model is working on the photo. Now that I'm happy with the results, I'll just click on Apply to commit these changes and return this photo back to Lightroom. Now that we're back in Lightroom, you can see here's the original and here's the version that we just edited with Sharpen AI. And if I select both of them and then click on C to compare and then zoom in, you can see just how much of an improvement we've gotten with Sharpen AI. And so if we drop out of the compare view and go back to grid, the next thing that I want to show you is how to use Lightroom with Sharpen AI if you want to work with multiple photos. So here I've got this photo, and if I position it over the head, you can see the same thing. There's a lot of noise and looks like we just missed focus on the eyes. And if I right click over to the next photo, same basic issues. We've got noise and then just some softness of focus. So let's drop back to the grid view. I'm going to select this photo. And just like before, we're going to right click, go to Edit In, and select Topaz Sharpen AI. And again, you can specify what type of file format you want to work with. I'm going to keep it the same and then click Edit to move on. Now you can see at the bottom of the screen that there are 2 line items. This is the first image we sent in, and if I click on the second one, it'll start loading the other image that we want to work on from Lightroom. And so I'll click on that first image again and start working on it really quickly. Just like before, I'm going to go to the View dropdown and select Comparison View, and then change my zoom to 200%, putting the focus box on the bird's head. Now, between the 3 different modes, I like out of focus the most, but what I want to do is just toggle between these different models. So we have very noisy selected. I'm going to click on normal, then very blurry, and our new advanced model. And right now, I think I'm actually preferring very noisy. And just like before, I'll double click on that quadrant to get a 1-up view of this model. And I'll zoom out to 100% just to get a broader view of the photo. And if I press and hold my mouse, I can see the original image. And if I let go, this is the version of the image that's fixed using Sharpen AI. Now that I'm happy with this, I'll click on the second photo to get working on that. Just like before, we'll go to View, Comparison View, and we'll keep it at 100% this time, putting the focus box on the main part of the bird. Again, the out of focus mode seems to be the winner because the common issue with all of these photos that we've been working on is that focus was just missed, so it's slightly out of focus. I'll go ahead and toggle the different AI models. So I'll click on normal, very blurry, advanced, and then back to very noisy. And I like very noisy the best, so I'm going to stick with that and double click it just like before. Now that I'm done working on both of these photos, it's time to return them to Lightroom. To do that, I'm going to click on the select all checkbox to make sure that both of these files are selected, and then I'll click apply to return back to Lightroom. Now that we're back in Lightroom, you can see that these two photos have duplicates with the Sharpen AI edits. If I go ahead and select the original and the edit and then click on the compare view, you can see the original and the edited version side by side. And then again, if we select these two photos and click on C and then zoom in, you can see the improvements that Sharpen AI has provided to this photo. And so that's how you would use Adobe Lightroom Classic with Sharpen AI, whether you want to work on a single photo at a time or on multiple photos in a batch process.